everyone. Welcome back to the Luca Beth Lounge, the cozy space for everybody who loves Lucas and Elizabeth from When Calls the Heart. Today we have me, Jillian.
And me, Blanca. Hello.
And me, Div. Hi, guys.
Today, it's here. Finally, we are talking about Union City, which is funny that we call it Union City because that's not what the episode is called. It's called Heart of a Writer, season 8 or season 7, episode 7 or 8, depending on what platform you're watching on, because some platforms consider the Christmas movie episode 1 and some don't. So, Heart of a Writer, Union City. Here we go. First up, we see Nathan giving Elizabeth an apple, and then we see him leave the church or leave the school, and he runs into Lucas, and he gets really upset that Lucas is there. And yeah, do we have thoughts about this?
He's like, the recess is almost over. It's like, first he says that, and then we have Opal complaining about recess.
I know. Is it recess supposed to be over? Yeah. I know. I love it when Lucas is like, or when Nathan is like, recess is almost over, and Lucas goes, "Oh, I better be quick then." Or what does he say? I wrote it down. I better hurry then. It's just like, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Nathan has like a very unreasonably pouty face.
It's standard. Please be nice. It is very standard.
It's still unreasonable.
Yeah. But dude, the apple, I have to say it. So corny. So corny. And yes, the bouquet kind of trumped it, like, but
yeah.
Oh my gosh. And the way he hands it to her, and she's kind of like, oh, okay, thanks.
and then when he leaves, have you guys noticed that she does her little like thing, like oh, I don't know if it's supposed to be like an ew thing, but she does it when Nathan leaves multiple times. It's like it's like she has two different kinds of sighs, and there's a Nathan sigh and there's a Lucas sigh.
I actually wrote it like noteworthy, the difference in Elizabeth's expression when Nathan leaves and when Lucas leaves in this scene.
Yeah,
because I wrote the same thing.
Yeah, right. Very different. Such a contrast.
Yeah, but I wrote it down under point number 2. But great minds. So thought that counts. Not the number.
Right, which that kind of segues us into the next point when Lucas offers Elizabeth tickets to the reading in Union City, and it's like, okay, here's an apple, and then he's like, here's some tickets to a reading in Union City overnight at the Yorkton. It's like, okay, a little different. Yeah, and I was gonna say about that part too, I like how confident Lucas is when he's like, am I interrupting? And she's like, actually, I was gonna call the kids back in, and he's like, okay, I'll be quick then. Instead of being like, oh, I'll come back later, like Nathan probably would have done, because he never, and he just asks her, he does it. And then I feel like later when Elizabeth is like, I ended up in Union City with Lucas because he asked me, like, because you're always just being like, okay, never mind, I'll ask you later.
True, that's true. It's like he went there for a reason and he was going to do it. He had to do it in 30 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
So Lucas. Yes.
You know what I noticed is Lucas says, think about it and let me know. And you know what? You know who says that twice? Nathan. He says, think about it and let me know in the finale, right after he asked her to dinner, finally asked her to dinner. And she's speechless. And then he says, think about it and let me know in season 8, episode 1, when they're sitting outside her house. He's like, oh, we never got to have that dinner. And she's like,
I guess we didn't.
And she's like, may I think about it and let you know? And he's like, oh, you take as long as you want. But it's kind of the same concept where with Lucas, like we see that she wants to go, right? And she goes and like she sees him and she tells Rosemary she wanted to go. With Nathan, it's like she didn't want to go both times.
Right. And she never let him know one way or another. Like Nathan asked her or told her twice, think about it and let me know. And then she never let him know. But Lucas says, think about it and let me know. And she goes and lets him know.
Yep.
Yep.
Granted, let's I do want to remember one thing. The Union City thing, she needs to let him know soon, right? Because it's gonna happen. I think he asked her on Friday.
Yeah.
Or maybe sooner, but it's supposed to happen on like the weekend, like a Saturday or something.
True. So it's time sensitive. Yeah.
Right. But the Nathan thing can be quick too, right? Like if she really wanted to go, wouldn't she have just said, yeah, I want to go, like there, then and there, like instead of being speechless? Or even when he was like, oh, we never had that dinner, she could have just been like, yeah, we need to do that dinner, and it's easy, it's the cafe,
right?
So we got to think about that.
Food for thought.
Food for the soul. No, it's not the same thing.
Not for the soul, no.
Yes, and when he's offering her the tickets and she's just like is taken aback, and he's like, I'm sorry, I really sprung that on you, and she's like, no, like she interjected. She's like, no, it's okay.
Yep.
And then she's like, and then he leaves and she's like, the different kind of side.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's very contrasted. It's not like a coincidence or whatever you want to call it. It's very scripted, I think.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think it was directed that way. Yep. Okay, so then Elizabeth tells Rosemary that she wants to go to Union City with Lucas after she weighs the difficulties, and Rosemary's like, what do you want to do? And she's like, I want to go. And then I wrote this in there too. There's the confidence again when Lucas goes and talks to Henry, and he brings up an issue, like he confronts him about something, and then at the end he's like, hey, can I borrow your car? Yep. And Elizabeth hasn't even let him know that she wants to go yet, but he's like, yep, I'm gonna need a car because we're going to Union City.
Well, I mean, she had already told him at the school that she would obviously want to go, right?
Yeah.
So he knows that if she's still thinking about it, it's not because she's not excited about it, but because there is something holding her back, which is what she speaks to Rosemary about. And I really like that scene. I think the advice Rosemary gives her is great, because it's for Elizabeth, it's like a rare opportunity to do something, to live an experience that she knows she would love, right? And it's a rare opportunity because it's an author that comes from abroad. I don't know where she comes from, but I agree with Rosemary here in that she shouldn't focus on what other people might think if she accepts. Not even Lucas. Just think about herself.
And then later she tells her, every once in a while it's okay to do something just for you. And it's so true. And poor Elizabeth she hasn't really done anything for herself in a while. She's got a little boy,
because he didn't have the opportunity to do so until Lucas came along. Food for thought again. It's not Nathan that gives her that opportunity, right?
What has Nathan ever done for her besides the plaque? Which, do we even know he actually made it?
He gave her an apple.
We're gonna, one guy, by this point, he's given her a library, he's donated the space, he's gotten her dream going again with the writing, and then now he's thinking about something that she'll enjoy, which is, and let's not forget the lanterns. So Lucas is constantly thinking about, because that is a sweet gesture that he does. Sure, he's doing it for the town, but it's a conversation with Elizabeth that kind of spurs it on. And we're kind of getting off topic, but my point is the only one doing nice things for Elizabeth to make her happy is Lucas.
Okay, while we're off topic just for a second and on that, when Nathan or when Lucas says maybe it's time somebody does something nice for her, and Nathan's like, I like to think I already did. What is he talking? Is that after the plaque? Is that what he's talking about, or what? Because I don't know. Do you guys know like what he's talking about, like that he did for her?
I'm speechless because I don't know.
I'm always like, what has he done for her? I don't know.
I always thought that line was put in there because we were supposed to suspect that he had sent the flowers, but I'm not sure if that's the only reason or not, which he didn't. No, he didn't.
Right. So I'm just wondering what.
So once you know we didn't, it's like, what are you talking about?
I know.
Gaslighting people. Oh.
Maybe he held the door for her and we just didn't see the scene. I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we can get back to what we were talking about, but I've always wondered that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
Maybe he just wants Lucas to feel insecure, or like he's behind in the competition.
Yes.
Maybe.
And then I love how Nathan, right?
What?
That would be classic Nathan. I mean, he's always
pretty much. Yeah.
Especially in that episode.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny because by the end of the episode, we saw who had the edge, right? Pretty much. And then later on, we know that the flowers that Nathan took to her door were like inconsequential. Like we never even saw it.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Union City. Okay, so then Elizabeth goes to the saloon to tell Lucas, yes. I love this scene so much. It's one of my favorites. When she opens the door, she's like, her little bashful wave is the cutest thing.
I don't think I noticed that until you pointed out, Jillian. There are so many things I don't notice until you point them out. Yeah, it's like,
isn't it cute? She's so nervous. And then he stops what he's doing and puts it on hold so that he can talk to Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that she tries to be funny here and he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
I love that about the scene. It seems so realistic to me, you know?
Yes.
It's like a little touch. That,
And they're both just like so nervous. It's so cute. There I go.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So I want to say something about this scene. Well, I have a couple of things to say actually. Number one, when she's like, if it's a date, then I'm sorry, Lucas, I can't. And so she's very like, she does not want it to be a date. And I like to do the whole going back and forth kind of thing. Let's go to the next season, season 8, episode 5. Who initiates and defines what their dinner is going to be? I'd be delighted to join you on a date. It's such a difference, right? Like she's come so far in their relationship. So that was the first thing I wanted to point out. Number 2, he says, I will escort you in whatever way makes you comfortable. So that's the thing. Like he wants her to be comfortable. Yeah. And when does that word come up again? Season 8, episode 8, the office scene, the Kimi office scene, where he's like, I want for you to be completely comfortable. And this is right after she's kind of trying to like fish for a kiss. So that's what I love is like Lucas puts her happiness, her comfort, her interests, because we later find out this is about her, the trip, the Union City trip. And I just love that about him.
Yeah.
So those were my 2 things.
I also like that he says, I would be happy to escort you in whatever way makes you comfortable. Not saying like, no, it's not a date, but also not saying, yes, it's a date. Like he leaves it open-ended so that it's on her, like the ball is in her court.
Yep.
And then she's like, okay.
It's funny that you mentioned that because while I was rewatching this scene, I was like, okay, so this guy has told her that she has a way with words, but I think he does too, because that answer, that answer is really clever. Like you said, Jillian is not saying it's not a date. It's like it's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, and basically being like, yeah, if you want it to be a date, I'm happy to escort you as a date, but if not, that's fine too.
Which is important, I think, because if he had looked disappointed when she said that, it would be like, I don't know, pressure on her, I think.
Yeah.
And probably that would have made her feel uncomfortable during the trip.
Yeah.
Like he's always wanting more than I can give him at this point, or something like that. So I think his words were very, very important, and you know, the right words, basically.
Yeah. And she's just not ready to date yet. And if it were, like you said, if it was the pressure of it being a date, I just feel like I think that's realistic too, because in real life, if you're going on a date with somebody, it's like, oh, it's a date. Like there's pressure to like each other. And if you're just friends, you get to know each other slower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like they're like you said, the pressure's off, so they can just enjoy their time and get to know each other. Exactly.
And she can mostly focus on the literary events, the Virginia Woolf.
Yeah.
The Lucabeth love story is a slow burn.
Yes.
That's what it is. And there's progress, and you see every single step, which is why I think Lucas was always the choice.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing I like about this small dialogue is that she asks him about the dress code. I love that.
I know.
Like, right? It's like, I don't know, it's like a small detail that shows again that their backgrounds are similar.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Imagine, okay, so, I forgot about this. I was thinking, this whole episode when I was rewatching it, I was like just laughing so hard because I was imagining if the roles had been reversed and this was Nathan taking her to Union City. And it is so funny, you guys, if you watch this episode thinking like, imagining Nathan doing everything that Lucas is doing, it's hilarious. Like he would show up in like a wrinkly shirt that's coming out of his vest at the Yorkton. I had no idea. He'd be like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to dress up.
I'm gonna do this now. I'm so gonna do this.
It's really funny.
It's funny because when I noted that down, I actually thought the same thing. I was like, she could never ask Nathan about what to wear.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's what reminded me of it, because
that wouldn't be sensible.
Well, first of all, he wouldn't know, and
he wouldn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He wouldn't. He just I'm gonna hold on to this point for when we talk about the dinner. But yeah, he wouldn't. It's not gonna be the same.
Nope. The faces that Lucas makes in this scene are just precious. Like, okay, so the first one is after she says yes, he's just like elate, like, really? It's so cute. And then when she says you know, as long as it's not a date, he's just like, I don't know, I can't do it, but you have to go watch it. I'll put it in the video. He's just like, it's almost like he's caught off guard or something. I don't know. And then when he sighs as he watches her walk away.
Oh, so cute. Okay, now I said.
And then she can't help but smile. Like she is smiling all the way out the building.
Yeah.
Into the middle of the street, she's still smiling.
True. I had written that down. The way in which she gets out of this room and she's smiling all the time. You know, she's looking forward to it, and not just because of literature.
Yep.
No.
We know that. So I think that's very cute too.
Not just because of their mutual interest in Virginia Woolf.
Rosemary pretty much calls it.
Yeah.
more than
So
a mutual interest. He implies it. Yeah.
Okay, so then Bill tells Lucas that Elizabeth told him that he's taking her to Union City, and he's just washing his glasses, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Elizabeth told you? What'd she say?" And yeah, do you guys have thoughts on this one, or it's just cute?
Yeah, it's kind of sweet that he wants to know what are her exact words to Bill. Bill doesn't tell much, but just the fact that Lucas wants to know, it's sweet.
Yeah, and the fact that Lucas is the one to say, just as friends, you know, because he wants to respect her wishes, and he wants everybody to know that it's just as friends.
But that's what Elizabeth says to Bill too. Just as friends.
Yeah,
in fact, Bill says, both of them are underplaying this, and it's not working.
No,
because go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say, because in the episode before this itself, Bill has his suspicions, right? He watches the coat going on, and he's like, "Oh, Jesse and Claire might not be the only romance." So the seed's already planted in Bill's head, and then now he's like, "Sure, you're going as friends." Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it's pretty obvious to everybody, and I think that's why Lucas and Elizabeth both feel like they have to say, "We're just going as friends," because otherwise people would be like, "Oh, obviously, you know, you're dating."
Yeah,
because it's obvious.
But. And I like that Lucas, when Bill tells him that, he's not like, "Oh, yeah, we're going," and I don't know, he didn't try to change the subject or anything. He wasn't guarded about it. And Bill is not even by then one of his closest friends, right? They haven't spent much time together yet, but still I like that he's confident in that he doesn't mind Bill trying, which is basically what he's doing. That's a good point. Another small thing about how great Lucas is.
Yeah. Good point. All right, so then Elizabeth tells Rosemary that she said yes and asks to borrow a dress. I really relate to Rosemary in the scene when she goes, "I need all the details." I'm like, me too. Me too.
I think Rosemary's excitement here is pretty telling, because she's her best friend, right? And she's happy for Elizabeth because she knows something like this is like a necessary step forward in her life. And again, I like the idea, what she says about something like she's allowed to do something for herself once in a while.
Yes.
I think that's nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Necessary. Yeah.
And I love that she doesn't buy the whole that they're going out of a mutual interest. Please.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
A mutual interest.
And and both of them, I mean, and Elizabeth knows, like, she's kind of so it's good because Bill kind of knows, right? Rosemary Rosemary knows even more. So people are seeing it, even though they're like we've already talked about, like, even though there's like just friends. No.
Yeah. Everybody sees it.
Right.
Everybody sees it. Okay, so then Lucas goes and picks Elizabeth up from her house, and she's super nervous. I love it when she's like, his favorite song at nap time is This Old Man. And Rosemary's like, "Knick knack paddywhack, I got it." I love it so much.
Yeah, so she's very funny in this scene.
Yeah. But then she goes in, opens the door, and they're a little, hi, ready? Thank you.
Allow me. Yeah. I have written down the amount of times these two say thank you and you're welcome in this episode. Especially her thank you. I don't know how many times, but maybe 7, 8.
She's polite. So for me, what I liked is number one, yes, she's nervous about leaving Jack alone, but it is that, okay, she's going out with a man for the first time in forever. That's not Jack. So there is that nervousness because she knows that there's more between them also, right? Things got real. And she's feeling it too, even though obviously we've already said that there's this denial of just friends. They know, they both know. And I love that Lucas talks to little Jack because we know how, you know, some have claimed that he does not speak to little Jack whatsoever, but it's adorable that like he assures this little boy, he probably doesn't understand this yet, but it's so sweet because he's like, I'm gonna bring her back safe and sound. Like, I just love it. It's adorable. And the other thing is, how cute are the two couples? You have Lucas and Elizabeth on one side and Lee and Rosemary are on the other side. Me personally, I don't really care about the Nathan Lucas friendship. I want to see more the I mean, I'm fine with it if they are. The Lee, I want to see the Lee Lucas friendship. Yeah. Because they have something in common. They're both businessmen. They both care about the community. They're nice, right? They're not stuck up guys. They're successful. Their two women are best friends. So I want to see that dynamic. I want to see how Lucas kind of fits in now that little Jack is going to be there, and little Jack is so important to these two people. They're his godparents or guardians.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I would much rather see Lucas and Lucas and Lee be friends and like some double date kind of stuff. And yep, definitely rather than Lucas and Nathan. Although I'm like I want Lucas and Nathan to be cordial with each other and just be like done with it. But I don't need to see them like hanging out or like being chummy or anything like that. I don't.
Me neither.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I also had written down that Lucas acknowledges little Jack. Like unknowable universe. Oh my gosh. And then I just think it's so cute how Lucas, like every time Luke or Elizabeth talks to little Jack from, she's like having a hard time leaving him, and she keeps saying these things to him, and every time she says something to him, Lucas just smiles and waits and is patient and just so sweet.
That's our guy. Yeah.
And when she tells Lee and Rosemary that his favorite thing when he's laying down for a nap is dog, so make sure you tuck dog in with him. So now Lucas knows that little Jack's favorite toy is dog, and he needs it to sleep.
That is true. And then, well, I don't know if it's a connection, but could be, right? Because then he gets him the dog in the deleted scene.
Yes.
So.
Yep. No, he knows he loves dogs. So yeah, there's that. And then he reveals a dimple when he's driving his car away. I just had to say that. Love the dimples. So cute. Okay, and then Lucas pulls over for a picnic. Come on. I mean, any guy who brings snacks
and flowers
to anything.
And the flowers.
He's the one. And the flowers in the face. Like, come on. Flowers and snacks.
Yep.
You can't do a road trip without snacks. Or flowers.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe I'll make sure that every time we have a road trip, I need flowers too.
He set the bar high for himself. But he did have the flowers again when they had their picnic.
Yes.
In season 8. So he's on it. He's Mr. Consistent. But yeah, I mean, she herself sees that he went through trouble to get those tickets. Like that it wasn't just like, oh, hey, I just got them. I just procured them. He had to like go through contacts and she understands that, which I think, and she's seeing more and more that Lucas just genuinely cares about her happiness and just doing something that's for her. So I love that little moment that they put in there.
Yeah,
me too.
And another thing I wanted to discuss was that that moment when he says, "You're thinking about Jack, right?" Or little Jack, I don't know how he says.
Yes.
Because it's like even as early as mid-season 7, right? He knows what is on her mind when they are in silence. So I think that's because he really gets her. He can read her, right?
Good point. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, you're right. And again, he's acknowledging Jack.
Yeah.
Which people say that he never does. Come on. Like
haters, not people. Haters.
No, yeah, haters. Yeah. Departing.
There's a difference.
Who are supposed to depart.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just such a cute conversation. And then she can't, like, she just gets this huge grin again. She can't help but smile. I mean, it's
like,
just
go ahead.
There's no, like, how do people not see it? Is what I'm wondering. How do people not see it?
It's like in this scene, her admiration for him starts growing, and skyrockets, if you will, because she realizes how much he cared about this trip and making it perfect for her, which he was.
Yeah,
he did. He did a good job. Good job, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just enjoying herself with him.
Can we give Gustav some love here? Because I'm pretty sure he packed the food and the macaroons. Let's give him a little bit of...
Yes. More Gustav! Because he said, I had the kitchen pack us some food before we left. And she was like, oh, you really think of everything. Like, because Lucas did. He was the one that thought of it. And he was like, hey, can you pack us some food?
Yep.
Because people do parties say, like, how he just has people do everything for him. But he's the one that thinks of it. And I'm sorry, but, like,
is he supposed to cook the food?
Yeah, like if my husband had a personal chef,
I
would be fine with him using him. Okay, so then Lucas and Elizabeth check into the hotel, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, so we're not going to get too far into it. But the fact that they're mistaken for Mr. and Mrs. Bouchard is, and she's wearing white, and it's whatever. It's a little foreshadowing. And it could have been really awkward, but Lucas made it comfortable by interjecting right away and just saying, like, no, this isn't Mrs. Bouchard, this is Mrs. Thornton, and she has a suite and I have a room and whatever. So he totally nipped that in the bud, and he made her comfortable, and it was good. So then we're gonna move on because we've already talked about that before. And then so Nathan finds out that Elizabeth and Lucas are in Union City. And what does he do, Dave? What does he do?
Oh my gosh. He kills a tree. Probably the tree he got the apple from. He's like, you jerk. No, I'm kidding. Oh, that poor tree. I'm going to try to be nice about it just because, well, I'll try. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, first of all, he has never even been on a date with this woman. Okay, I know I've seen a few, supporters of Nathan be like, oh, well, Jack did the same thing. Jack went and chopped wood after the Charles proposal, but there is a big difference. Okay, Jack and Elizabeth were courting, and they had just said, I love you. Okay. They were in a freaking relationship, and even when Jack did it, it wasn't all like psycho jealous ish, With Nathan, it's just like, well, I'll give him a little credit because I do think it was like windy. Yeah, it was windy, so it kind of made it look like a little more psychotic. But this is like my least favorite Nathan scene, which is saying a lot because I have quite a few. But I lost a lot of respect for him in this scene because
I didn't appreciate his attitude. He has no, I was actually like afraid for Lucas's safety. It's like a weird thing to say, but he was so mad. I was like, would he like confront Lucas if he saw Lucas, which is not logically possible. With an axe wielding.
Yeah.
But it was like I saw some people call it sexy and like justified it. And I'm just, there is nothing sexy about a man being jealous over a woman he has no right to be like possessive over, but that is what he was doing pretty much. Anyway, my respect for him kind of plummeted after the scene and it never really recovered. So I don't know. It's just a bad scene and not a good look for Nathan.
No.
For me. Obviously for others, but not for me.
So what I have to say about the scene is when Bill comes in and he's like, okay, this is legitimately something that we do with our 5-year-old. Like my 5-year-old, who just turned 5, by the way, we use this tactic all the time. Like if she's throwing a fit, we will change the subject to be like, to distract her from throwing her fit. And he, like, this is legitimately, so Jack is like, or Bill, sorry, Jack. Yeah. Bill is like, so do you like baseball? You like baseball, don't you? And he's like, yeah, I do. And then he's like, who's your favorite team? And he's like, the Tigers. Like he acts like a 5-year-old. I'm not kidding. Like this is I'm like, oh my word. And then he's like, who's your favorite player? Ty Cobb. And then he's fine and he's chopping wood with Bill and it's fine. Like he's distracted from the situation and he's not throwing a fit anymore. Like he was throwing a fit. He was throwing a tantrum.
That's what it was.
Like he was a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Can we talk about his poor form? So I was like, poor Kevin, I hope he didn't pull anything. Like if you watch, maybe I paused it at like the wrong place, but it was just like, I was worried about his back for a second there.
Well, and there's like a wardrobe thing here that I'm not gonna go into because it's kind of embarrassing. I'll just let you guys figure it out.
Go watch it.
Go watch it and see if you can tell what I'm talking about.
But Nathan knows that Lucas is in the picture because in the previous episode, he goes to Elizabeth. He's like, I know my flowers aren't the only ones you got. And then he's like, just know I'm not one to shy away from competition. Well, his competition gets to do stuff too. Like he knows that he's not the only one vying for her heart. So who is he to, I don't know. Like,
well, and
Jillian,
Lucas. So Nathan is in a competition with Lucas.
Yes.
For Elizabeth's heart. Lucas is just giving Elizabeth. He's just caring for her.
Yep.
In giving her things that he knows that she loves and enjoys. And Nathan is looking at this like it's a competition. So it just doesn't seem very genuine.
Yeah. Can we also talk about the townspeople being all weird? Why? Who cares? I'm sorry. Everyone's like, ooh, hi, Nathan. Like, ooh, I can't, we don't want to, like they don't want to like talk to him because they're all worried that, he's going to get all
Maybe
sad
they were
comes
afraid of the maniac with the axe.
Yes.
But I'm just
That's
like,
what
who
I
cares?
was gonna say.
Like even Lee, who cares?
Yeah. But that's what I was
She's
gonna
allowed
say.
to
It's
go.
like, they know that he's gonna react badly, so they're like, "Oh no, let's not tell Nathan."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. All right. So, oh my gosh. Okay. Then Elizabeth comes into the lobby of the hotel, dressed all fancy and pretty, and she looks gorgeous. And Lucas turns around and he's just speechless. Div, I know this is like one of your favorite pictures of Lucas is this moment, right? When he sees her and he's like speechless.
Oh my gosh, he's so freaking adorable.
It's so cute.
So freaking cute. Like, so, oh, he's so smitten. Our boy is so smitten. And it's just so genuine and so like, and we've seen him do that a few times after that, right? Isn't that what every woman wants? Like for a man to look at her like that and just appreciate her beauty. And I feel like she was pretty impressed too. Like, cause he was wearing like a double-breasted jacket, like dinner jacket. And she was kind of like, oh, there was like an extra spice to him, for lack of a better word.
Do not be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was both of them kind of looking at each other and kind of, I don't know, something kind of clicked for them. And then
do you guys notice in this, their faces match in this scene? Like they kind of look exactly alike.
Yeah.
For a second, like when he looks at her and he's like, and then she's like, they look the same.
Yeah.
And they just match so well. Blanca,
Yeah.
what were you gonna say?
No, I agree with everything that you just said. Yeah.
We already said everything before poor Blanca could say.
No, that's okay. I like hearing you passionate about it.
Okay, so then he tells her that she looks beautiful, and she's like, "Thank you." Like, don't forget this isn't a date, kind of thing. And then he offers to put her shawl over her, and she accepts and lets him do it. And then he offers his arm, and she accepts and grabs his arm. I mean, it's all, he's putting the ball in her court every time, and she is the one that's accepting it. And she's the one that's like, okay, yes.
Also because he is being a gentleman here. I mean, he's not doing anything that a friend wouldn't do. A polite friend.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So it's not like he's taking any liberties or, I don't know, crossing the line.
Yeah, no. I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely. He's not being disrespectful at all. He's not pushing boundaries. He's not crossing any lines.
He's not making her feel uncomfortable.
No. So, and he's asking, you know, and she's saying yes.
Exactly.
This is the episode where how do you look at anything after this and be like, it's gonna be Nathan?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's beyond me.
Dinner.
Okay, so then Lucas and Elizabeth have dinner, and it's so packed full of good stuff that I had to split this into little parts because, oh my word. Like, first of all, they sit down and she's like, oh, I really talked your ear off, didn't I? And he's like, no, you were as thick as thieves. And I don't know, just the stuff that you can like think about what happened that we didn't see and the experience that they experienced together that we didn't get to see. It's just, it leaves room for the imagination.
I like when they're at the door and they start walking and she turns around and like smiles at him. It's just a really small moment where she kind of giggles and then she goes in one direction, he goes in the other, and then obviously the maitre d' helps her into her chair. And then he orders the French champagne, or not, well, orders the champagne in French. And she's like, champagne? Like, the name of it just kind of, she knows what it is. I'm like, if Nathan was there, he first of all would not be ordering champagne. I mean, and this is where like their privileged backgrounds kind of, you can kind of see it, and it makes sense, right? Because then it comes into play again when they start talking about Hamilton. But after this season 8 ended, John Tinker did that interview with Deidre Behar. It was with ET, and when Deidre asked, why Lucas. One of the reasons he listed as to why Lucas was a good endgame for Elizabeth is the similar background.
Yeah.
Because they have that privileged upbringing. And it's not a bad thing. I know people try to make it like a big bad thing because they didn't grow up as rich snobs, right? They both left that lifestyle and they're living in a small, simple town.
Yeah.
So in this place, I love it because that interaction, I don't think she could have that with Nathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I thought that too. Like when he orders the champagne and he doesn't say like, let's get champagne. And then he orders it. Like he just says the name of it. And then she's like, oh, champagne. Like she knows what it is.
Yep.
That's the connection. Like they know. Yep. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just like you said. Mm-hmm.
So what I love about this scene or this part of this scene is what I call the intellectual connection,
Mm-hmm.
which we haven't seen in a while, but we know it's there.
Yeah.
Because when Elizabeth is speaking about what she loved about the book, I don't know about you guys, but when I was rewatching it, I could read in Lucas's face the word admiration, just like when in the picnic scene, you could see how Elizabeth is feeling like, admiration for the amount of trouble that he's gotten into to prepare all that. So when here she's speaking about the literary value of the book and everything related to that, the look on his face is the sweetest. It's like you can see how he's, I don't know if he's already in love, but if not, he's falling for the person she is. It's not shallow. It's not about looks. It's not about her position or her background.
Yes.
It's about the kind of person she is, and the fact that she has an intellectual side, if you will, is definitely something that makes Lucas feel attracted to her.
Yeah,
I love that about them. So good.
He appreciates her intelligence. I've always used the word intellectual connection too. But yeah, he just kind of sits there in awe, like he's just kind of like, and then she's like, she takes it, she kind of misunderstands it, and she's like, sorry. Like as him, like maybe thinking, what the heck, she's talking so much, but he's loving it, and then he's like, no, but
he looks up to her, which is a big part of the love story.
He looks up to her, and he also challenges her. And my gosh, it's really the perfect relationship.
Dude, because then go to their actual date, season 8, episode 5, and she's like, oh, this is the first time I haven't had something weighing on me, and he's like, and he's listening to her, and then he's like, I'm so happy to be here with you right now. It's such a beautiful, healthy relationship.
It is.
And there's no awkwardness between them, right? Like it's always, the conversation always flows. He's interested in everything she says, whether or not it has to do with him. And you get to see that.
It's like you can picture them having the same kind of conversation in their 70s or in their 80s, and they'll always have something to talk about.
Yes.
Right?
New fanfic coming.
Yes.
Lucas and Elizabeth in their 80s.
With their grandchildren playing.
Yes.
In the backyard.
Yes, throw the grandchildren in there.
Yeah.
So cute. So cute. Oh my gosh. So yeah, and then Lucas says that he hasn't read Virginia Woolf's novel. And she's like, oh, so you must be a bigger fan of her short stories. And he's like, no, not particularly. And she's like, what? So you bought the tickets just because? And he is like, yeah, just because.
I appreciate his honesty here, because he could have easily made her believe that he has read something else by Virginia Woolf, right?
Yes.
And he didn't. He didn't feel the need to. He's just being himself.
Yes. So true. Because when I was picturing Nathan as Lucas in this episode, I'm like, Nathan would have been like, oh yeah, I totally love Virginia Woolf.
I love reading. It's written by women. Yeah.
Yeah. I read women authors.
I still don't buy that. I think he was just in that library to see Elizabeth.
Yeah, totally.
And then for Miss, Lucas and I are just going as friends. No, it's not going to be more than, just a trip, a mutual interest trip. That grin where she realizes that he's doing it just because. I'm pretty sure a woman who's interested in a man or not interested in a man would react like that. She loved it.
Yes, which is one thing that I've thought of, because if he were to say, like, I bought the tickets just because I thought you would like this, if she was like turned off by that, she would be like, oh, yeah, but she grinned.
Yep.
Exactly. It's not like she was thinking, oh, I now have to friend zone this guy.
Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah.
Nope, she likes it. She's into it. She likes being wooed.
Well, someone's got to do it.
Right? Yes. Well, so then Lucas talks about wanting to be in Hope Valley because he wants a family, which is, I feel like, so huge, because obviously Elizabeth is like, she comes with a package deal. She is the family already. And they haven't talked about this yet. They haven't talked about the fact that he has wanted a family. And when she hears that, I feel like she is kind of already smitten, and oh wow, this guy is handsome and great and treats me well. But then when he says that he wants a family, that's like a whoa, okay. Another box check.
Yep, I totally agree.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say, I don't want to I am going to keep comparing him with Nathan, but I just feel like, would Nathan even fit into our Hamilton lifestyle? I mean, because they talk about Hamilton a little bit, right? And Lucas is like, I assume that in Hamilton, you were at the, you did fancy dinners, you went to the theater, and like, he gets it, right? And because he's probably done the same stuff, like when he was growing up.
Yeah.
So he gets that. And it just got me thinking, like, Nathan would not fit in with the Thatchers. I don't think he would know what to say to her father. And we know that Jack didn't either, but it was different with Jack. Like, I felt like he had an understanding of like what her life was like. And he couldn't really relate in certain ways because his background was completely different. He grew up in like a different background. But I feel like at least Jack kind of knew how to like talk to her family. With Nathan, I just don't think he would know what to say, especially to like William. Like, what are they going to talk about? I feel like Lucas can at least talk politics with her dad, talk business.
Yeah.
His own
troubles and I don't know. Culture in general.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Nathan probably would try to be funny, maybe, like in an awkward way. Like,
I can already see Viola's looks. I can already get to like her look.
Really?
You were supposed to do better this time, Elizabeth.
Yeah, because like even Jack didn't fit in, so imagine Lucas trying to fit, or Nathan trying to fit.
Yeah,
he won't. And at least Jack was joking when he said, when they were talking about Peach Melba, and he's like, "What's that?" I don't think Nathan knows what peach melba is. So
Yeah.
that.
Anyway.
It's just another one of those things. Put Nathan in Lucas's shoes
Yes.
and laugh about it in this episode because it's laughable. Oh, well, and it also reveals to us that they have had a conversation in the past about their past, because he already knows that she grew up in Hamilton and her upbringing was very different, and so there are things that we haven't seen them talk about, and it's even deeper than we even know. You know what I mean? At this point.
Yeah, we didn't see it all on screen, but it happened. We know that.
Right. And then there's the mushroom joke comes to life. It is born. The mushrooms are born. And we hear about them several times. And we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yes.
About the reasoning behind it, that we believe is the reasoning behind it. And then so then he talks about his parents being patient when it comes to finding your soulmate and how long they waited. And I have to laugh about the fact that she's like, what, 5 years? What took them so long? Because it literally took 5 years for Jack and Elizabeth to get married. And I'm like, dude, you get it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he says that she loved him. I just think she wanted to be sure. And then Elizabeth's responses to everything that Lucas says in this scene is just very important, I think. I think it's directed that way for a reason.
Yeah, it comes full circle in the finale, the season 8 finale. With the waiting for her, kind of that whole thing. She files this conversation away. This is a very big conversation for her.
This is the first time they address the patience thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And then yes, the first time they address the patience, and which also becomes a theme, and we see it so much more throughout season 8.
Yeah.
And then there's the wait as long as I have to. And he finally does win her heart, does he not? So yeah, it comes full circle, that whole trip. And let's not forget, Elizabeth enjoyed the heck out of this trip. And if she was afraid or nervous or turned off or wanted to friend zone him or whatever, she would have done it. Yeah. And we would not be getting the smiles that we got. We would not be getting the, so you plan to be patient. Like, we would not be seeing any of that if she was not interested in this man. Maybe she's not ready to pursue a relationship. And obviously she's still kind of like, where does Nathan fit into this? But she has feelings for Lucas. She does. She wants to see where it'll go, but she's just not fully there yet.
Well, yeah, she still has to check some boxes. Like, this is a huge one. She just found out that he wants to have a family. So, I mean, she's not ready to dive in. She has a kid. She can't just be like, oh, I'm going to date you. You know, she has to really be fully invested before she goes all in. So this is a whole thing that is a very big step into that. But at the time, she wasn't quite ready to be fully invested yet, because there were questions outside of this, and there were things that weren't answered yet.
Yes.
But it's true that this scene is probably a turning point for her.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she would have not asked, you plan to be patient just like your father. That question makes it clear that she's interested, like Dave was saying. And also, I feel like this conversation with him makes her, maybe she's not I don't know, maybe she's not aware of it yet, but I feel like she kind of sees that he's the right guy for her, both from a rational perspective, if you will, using logic because of the similar background thing, the fact that he's on the same level also intellectually, like we've talked about, but also because of what I was saying earlier about, you know, the fact that she admires him too. I mean, she's moved by several of his gestures in his episode, one of them being the tickets, just because. That obviously is like, well, for her. And then the little things like the picnic and making sure she would be comfortable this week. I don't know, the list goes on and on.
Yeah. And she's humble. I mean, she's not going to be like, oh, he's doing this just because he wants me. Like, she's also humble in thinking, probably, this is my own opinion, but I think she probably is thinking, you know, he wants to go to this reading because he's interested in literature. Like, she's probably not thinking like he wants to do this for me. So all of these things are kind of like revealing to her that he is interested in her, even though he's already done it. But, you know, if she's a humble person, she's not going to be like, oh, he's doing this all for me, you know?
Yeah. That's why she's surprised when she finds out that he hasn't read anything by Virginia Woolf.
Yeah.
That's exactly the reason. Yeah.
Sorry, there's a plane.
That's
like,
it's a plane.
Shut up, plane. I think Lucas was tailor-made for Elizabeth. The way they wrote him. I think with Jack, I don't know. I haven't read the book, Jeanette Oak's book, so I don't really know what characteristics the Mountie has in the book. But if, say, they were kind of trying to keep it similar to the book, like his personality and stuff, then they didn't have full license, right, to care as to what this character was like. Lucas is something that they created. He's their original creation. So they can give him the personality, the background, everything else that they want. And I think they tailor wrote him for Elizabeth, just the whole intellectual part of it, the similar backgrounds. And I think the beauty of Lucabeth, he can give her the best of both worlds. Both. So when she wants to do a fancy dinner, he knows how to act and he has the means, because FYI, being rich is not a bad thing. So he has the resources, right? Like, he can provide that for her. We've seen that. But then also when she needs that like emotional support, when she needs like that intellectual kind of, she needs someone to connect with, he's also there in that sense. And he's like the total package. He gets every part of her, in my opinion. Yeah. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I agree. It's like they have a lot going on for them on multiple ways.
Yep.
Because the fact that they were brought up in a similar way, or their childhoods were similar, that is not as important now that they're dating as it will be in the future. But when they have their own children, that will be important. They will be on the same page when they decide the way in which they want to raise them.
Oh, you genius. Yes. That is such a good point. So like baby girl Bouchard and any other children that they have, you know.
Exactly.
I had to sneak her in there.
I was going to say right before it stopped that Nathan would probably be like, if they and Elizabeth were to marry and have a family together, he probably would be like, here's about the parent teacher meeting, I'm going fishing. She would be like, what? So they're not a good match.
No, they're not.
In any way.
No.
No.
It amazes me that so many people think they are. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are blinded by their Kevin obsession.
It's a Kevin
Basically.
obsession. It's the whole like she has to be with a Mountie.
Yeah.
Any Mountie, regardless of, you know, quality of personality is okay. As long as he wears Surge.
They
I just
spend money, so they're probably poor.
right. The rich guy isn't gonna get the girl, which yay, so much kudos to Hallmark for going against the typical going against the typical trope of the rich guy doesn't get the girl and the poorer one does.
Yeah.
They completely flipped that script.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And the good guy who just happens to be rich got the girls. So
yes.
Better guy.
Yeah, the guy that's right for the girl got the girl. Imagine that.
There we go. Yep.
Unknowable universe. Again. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, so also I have one more thing to say about this scene though. He says that I have always had faith that I would know the perfect woman for me when I met her. And I will wait as long as I have to win her heart. And I feel like that just shows that he knew, not necessarily that he was in love with Elizabeth from the beginning, but he knew that she was the perfect woman for her when he met her.
Yep.
And now he's changing the context of it and saying, I will wait as long as I have to win her heart. And she knows that he's talking about her, because she's just like smiling again. She's grinning. She can't help it. Yeah. And why would she grin about that if she didn't think that he was talking about her? And so it's reciprocated. It's like oh man, you think I'm the perfect woman for you, and you're gonna wait as long as you have to, and you're gonna be patient, and you're gonna be kind, and you're gonna wait for me. Yeah. And you know what I mean?
And how beautifully it comes together in the season finale when she thanks him. And the way, oh my gosh, Erin did this so perfectly. Like there's like this vulnerability in like the way she's like, thank you. And it is just so perfect. That conversation stuck with her for so long. And she actually says the words like over a season and a half later. And it's like, the theme, right? The Luca Pet theme was there this whole time. This relationship has been progressing, and it was the end game. Doesn't that prove it?
Well, and
that's what he was leading towards.
Yeah, and he also said, I told you I would wait as long as I had to.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah. Come on. It's so well done. It's so well done.
It's freaking perfect.
And it's not thrown together last minute. I'm sorry, but oh my word. No. This is constructed on purpose from season 7. From season 6 to be, in my opinion. But it is constructed very well. And I feel like just saying that like they changed their mind last minute is throwing shade at the writers and the director. Like everybody involved in this show, I feel like really put thought into this. Yeah. Including Erin herself, who's a producer and very connected to the character. She has been there from episode 1. So, yeah.
They say that it's almost like self-preservation because they want to believe that the entire time that they spent invested in their couple wasn't in vain, and that they were doing everything right and then the writers were wrong. So that was kind of their thinking. And I do think there was a little bit of discrepancy between what the actors said and what the writers said, because Erin, Chris, and Kevin were like, oh, we didn't know till towards the end or whatever. And Brian Bird is like, no, we knew who it was going to be. How we would get there is what was being decided. Whose word would you take for it? The people behind the scenes who are making the decision? I'm not saying Chris, Erin, and Kevin are lying. I'm just saying they may not have known as early as Brian Bird and John Tinker. And John Tinker's wife said in that letter that she wrote after the season ended that she knew who the end game was going to be from that summer. So they knew going into this season, I think longer than that. I think they might have like stopped and been like, okay, is he the right end game? Should we go with Nathan? It's plausible to me that they would consider Nathan again, especially if there's like a change in the head writer or showrunner, but they didn't. They stuck with the original formula. On screen, nothing changed. It was Lucas. It was always Lucas. And Brian Bird made a comment after the season ended, this last season ended, and he said, whatever feelings Elizabeth had for Nathan, those were false feelings. So she never had romantic feelings for Nathan. I'm sorry to you people who thought there were, some people are like, oh, we didn't get the Nathan and Elizabeth love story. I'm like, what love story? What love story? Please show me where they started dating. Show me something, you know?
It's like, yeah, you didn't get that love story. So why did you think it was a love story?
Dude, I don't know. The
it's
logic
only
is
fiction, man.
Yeah. Well, I've said it before. Do not get me started on TN fan fiction. It is so bad.
We'll get there, Div.
It's the opposite of our so cute, is what it is. If that makes any sense. Yeah. I have to be
bad.
It's bad. Okay. So gosh, then Lucas drops Elizabeth off at her house and they're saying, okay, I listened very carefully. They're saying thank you. She said thank you, and he said I really had a fantastic time. I'm glad you decided to go. And she said,
no way.
Me too.
Very
excitedly. Yeah, and
you didn't hear it?
This whole time, Nathan is watching from a bush. He's watching from a bush.
He looks. It's.
At least he got the axe before going stalking.
Dude, he had a fishing pole. Blanca, he had a fishing pole. You don't know.
True.
You know what? There could be some damage there too.
But it's slightly less daunting than axe.
Like
a little less. Just like
a little less. Or a bump on the head. Okay, so I did want to say something about that. Team Nathan, this like drives me freaking insane because they call, and I've said this before, people, I'm totally freaking repeating myself here, but they call Lucas a stalker and like spying on them, and like he acts like, I mean, they act like Nathan and Elizabeth had some kind of relationship going on, and like Lucas is like jealous. And they do, right? They keep on going on and on about how he spies on Nathan and Elizabeth as if they have, like what dynamic do they even freaking have?
He's drinking tea on his own balcony.
On his own freaking balcony, and they walk by, and it's like, oh, let me use this against Lucas. Anyway, my point is, let's think about the quality of the conversations, okay? When Nathan is watching Lucas and Elizabeth interact, they're either flirting with each other or they're talking about something of significance. Like, for example, they do it a lot and he watches them a lot. Like, for example, by the Christmas tree, in the Christmas episode, when Lucas is like kind of telling her about his childhood and how his family only kind of came together at Christmas. So they're actually talking about something with substance. And then here, where they're like, oh, you know, they're flirting and like, do you know what I mean? Like they actually have something going. Or then when Lucas is greeting her in the street with little Jack and he's like, hey, you're handsome, young man. And then in season 8, where they're like hardcore flirting, as you put it. Yeah. He's like, that's how I am when I'm hungry. but like contrast that with like the scenes that Lucas watches. First of all, when those have happened, he and Elizabeth have already been dating. Like it's not like he's watching just randomly, right? And then what do they even talk about? Nathan and Elizabeth, like Lucas is misconstruing stuff. Like Nathan's like, look, I found my gloves, and Lucas sees that and misinterprets it. And it's like, it's not, let's put quality over this, okay? I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm just like, please don't talk about Lucas being a spy or whatever. Nathan has done it so many more times. He's done it way more than Lucas has. And Lucas's was plot related. They needed Lucas to watch them and misinterpret things for the sake of the finale.
Yeah.
For the sake of the resolution. With Nathan, it's just like that they've had him do it like season after season after season, where it's just a thing that Nathan does and gets all heartbroken and pouty.
Right. And Nathan sitting there in the bush, coming back from fishing with his niece, and he just like stands there for too long. Like, and Allie is the one to be like, Uncle Nathan, let's go. Like, who stands there and watches somebody who he likes or loves just like talking to another man after an overnight date, and just sit there just go, get out. Oh my gosh.
The answer is the maniac with an axe. The kind of people who does that.
Dude, oh my gosh. So bad.
It's really kind of disgusting. It's gross.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do we go from here? I don't know. We could be done now. Okay, so then Elizabeth picks up Jack from Lee and Rosemary's, and she tells Rosemary that her trip was perfect, and she doesn't know where to begin when she's trying to explain it. I mean, like, you tell your best friend everything, and she just told her, like, I don't even know where to begin. It was perfect. So
how does Nathan compete with that? How does Nathan compete with a perfect trip? What is she gonna do? Go out with him and come back and say it was double perfect? Like, I mean, like, how does he top that? He can't top that. And the fact that she's saying this after she comes back, after knowing that he's pretty much talking about her when he's saying, he's implied she's the perfect woman, and he said, I'm gonna wait for you, pretty much, right? She comes back and she's like, it was perfect. That is what she took from that trip. And so, like we said, she's not ready, but she's receptive, and she would not be saying those things if
and she's and she's not ready, but now she knows that he's going to be patient. And now she's saying that it was perfect because she likes him and he's going to be patient. It's the perfect scenario. So it's perfect. There you go. Boom. No going back.
She might as well have said to Rosemary, I've just came back from a trip with my future husband. Even if she's not ready yet to deal with that fact, but on some level she knows.
Dude, she knows. She knows more than she let on. And at the end of the day, she was projecting Jack onto Nathan, and when she comes back to Hope Valley, that is still there. That I don't want to say reality because projection is not real, but like she's faced with that situation again where she's not sure what's going on with Nathan. And so
That's so true.
So she still has to work through that, right? So
it's like a
regardless of,
barrier.
yeah, that he's like the obstacle that's there, and she's not
Exactly.
able to figure out initially why. And then she finally figures out what Aaron Krakow says is she has to finally separate her feelings for each man. And she finally realizes she's thinking she has feelings for Nathan, but she doesn't know what those feelings are. And she has feelings for Lucas, and she does know what those feelings are. And then what she finally says is, once she's able to separate what she thought she felt for Nathan, and she realizes what she felt for Lucas all along, which is love, which is real romantic love. And so once that happens, once the jail thing becomes official, she knows she's free, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's so true. That's a really good point. Like, she has feelings for Lucas, and they're obvious feelings, but her feelings for Nathan are like, what are these feelings? And
that shouldn't be
takes her
that
a long
way.
time to figure out.
Yeah.
But for Lucas, it's just genuine. Like, she likes him, and she's friends with him, and he's good to her. And yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So, and like Brian Bird flat out said false feelings. I was like, go BB. You actually said it. That's awesome.
False feelings. There you go. And it's very well written. I mean, I feel like at the time when we were in it, it was like, what is going on? Like, it was a lot of
information to process.
Yeah, it was. But then looking back and analyzing things, it was very well done. It was very well written.
Yeah.
Especially from the point of view of just like a realistic, as a woman who has lost her husband, who now has a child with that man who he never met. Like, think about that. This has to be a process. It has to be like, she has to think through things very deeply.
Yeah.
So then Nathan sees Elizabeth in the street at the produce stand, and they have an interaction where I believe that he just makes her feel guilty about going on this trip with Nathan, or with Lucas. Why do I always do that? He went on a trip with Lucas, and Nathan made her feel guilty about it. And that is the theme of their relationship. He always makes her feel guilty about what she is happy about.
Yep.
And it's toxic. Like you said, it's a toxic relationship.
Yeah, it is.
Because he doesn't know, he doesn't really know what she needs. And I dare say he doesn't really care. He cares about himself more than anyone else.
Yeah.
He's a really selfish guy, right?
Yeah, I agree.
He's a child, basically. He needs to grow up.
Dude, I'm sorry. I keep going back to like season 8, but to go to kind of add to your point, Blanca, he doesn't know what she needs. It's just about what he needs, what he wants. Like, for example, when Rosemary talks to him in the library and is like kind of getting him to see reason, and she's empathetic and is like, okay, I've been in this position before, I get it. And she's trying to get him to step back, and he's like, I'm sorry, Rosemary, I can't let Elizabeth go. Well, guess who actually does let her go? Lucas. Right before the finale,
her soulmate,
loves her. He loves her, but he does it for her. What he
because
thinks
he
is,
really
says,
loves her.
Right. He's like, I want you to find your true love. It's about Elizabeth. It's not about, well, I can't let her go.
Yeah.
Like Jillian said, I felt that was written like that for a reason. And intelligent people were supposed to pick up on that.
Yep.
Fortunate that many people didn't, but we did. So
Yeah. So that's the end of the episode, but we can't not talk about one more thing. We have to talk about this theory that we've seen from the other side after this episode aired. Go ahead.
Oh, good Lord. Where do I start? Okay, first of all, everybody, this is water. Okay, I am not on anything. When I say this, I'm going to preface what I say by saying that.
You're super.
Cheers, my friend. Ding. Water. Okay, basically my point is I just want to forewarn you guys that what I'm about to say is going to be very ridiculous and very out there, but please know that these are not my thoughts. I'm like the messenger here. So some of you already know, but for those who don't know this, Team Nathan was in such desperation to discredit the Union City trip. They just did not want to give it any importance. They came up with this theory that this whole episode was based on Alice in Wonderland, that the writers actually got their idea and used a blueprint from Alice in Wonderland from start to finish for the Union City episode, and apparently it continued on. And get this, people, apparently Lucas is a white rabbit. Now, I'm not familiar with the book. I'm only familiar with the cartoon, which I will never look at in the same light ever again. And I used to love it as a kid, but now I'm like, yeah, you're going on the back of my DVD shelf. Not anymore. Okay, so Team Nathan seems to think that this episode is filled with symbolism and illusions. And I'm going off of one specific blog. This actually comes from like a very respected Team Nathan fan who wrote it. I don't want to say names and I don't want to like post a link or anything like that. But if anyone wants more details and like is into like weird fiction, DM me on Twitter or Instagram.
If you're into that kind of stuff.
Yes. So like if you are and you're looking for something to laugh about, DM me and I will send you the link. But just FYI, this person, this Team Nathan blogger no longer blogs about the show. There are a few others who had stuff like this and they either got rid of their pages or they no longer blog. My point is, this is what happens when you overanalyze a show and end up looking stupid. And this is someone who like got so many other people believing this. Like, actually, I think, okay, so it turns out that this was on one person's blog, but someone else contributed to this person's blog. So it was like a guest writer, but this person agreed with her 100%. So she's guilty by association and publication because she published it on her page. Anyway, so Team Nathan, my God. Yes, Lucas apparently is the rabbit and Alice is Elizabeth in this story. And it's backed up by the fact that Alice becomes interested in the white rabbit when the white rabbit takes out his pocket watch and looks at it. Number one, Elizabeth doesn't look at Lucas picking up his or pulling out his pocket watch. They're referring to when he's at the door before she opens the door to pick her up to go to Union City. He looks at the pocket watch. So apparently that is a big strike and a big hint that that is the white rabbit. And they bring this up again when they bring this up again when he's waiting for her in the hotel lobby before she walks out in the red dress because he looks at his pocket watch. He is nervous. This is the first time he is going out with a woman he likes. I do it all the time. Like when I'm nervous and like I've looked at my phone, I don't have a pocket watch, and I look at the time and
You
2
don't?
minutes later, I'm gonna get one for Christmas. I'm gonna ask someone to get me one. Jillian, 71 for Christmas.
Okay.
So he looks okay. So I'll look at my phone and be like, okay, this is the time. But if I'm nervous about something, I'll look at the phone again 2 minutes later, even though I know what time it is. It's a nervous habit.
Yeah.
But no, apparently this has to fit the narrative. He has to be the white rabbit. So that's what Lucas is. And Lucas takes Elizabeth on this trip, and she goes into a dreamlike state, and she is not herself because she is in this wonderland away from Hope Valley. And that's why I wrote these notes down, because I was like, I hope these guys don't contact Jillian and say, get Div off the podcast because she's not making sense anymore. These are not my thoughts. Okay. So then it turns out when they ate mushrooms, when Lucas and Elizabeth ate mushrooms, it was pretty much psychedelic mushrooms that altered their state of thinking. And the mushrooms go on to represent growth or shrinkage in the characters. And Elizabeth shrank, I'm guessing mentally, after eating the mushrooms. Lucas was unaffected, and apparently people like Lee and Allie and whoever else comes into like the later chapters of, or the later episodes, it affected them too, because Lee went through a little bit of growth and shrinkage because of his sister's storyline. How is that related? I do not know. Please don't ask me. But then the caterpillar is there. The caterpillar, unfortunately, I feel so bad for him, is not a character from Hope Valley. So unfortunately, he does not get to be paired like Alice and the White Rabbit. But the caterpillar is there to ask Elizabeth, who are you? Over and over again, he is trying to get Elizabeth to, dig into like her philosophical side while she's like in her dreamlike psychedelic mushroom phase. And asking her, who are you? To get her to think. I'm like, didn't you guys say that Elizabeth is already like in an altered state, pretty much high? But so like him asking her who she is she really gonna know the real her? Anyway, now here's the fun part. Here is the fun part. Nathan is the Cheshire Cat. Nathan is the Cheshire Cat because he points Elizabeth in the right direction, except he doesn't, right? The Cheshire Cat is like this way, that way. Like if you watch the cartoon, he's like pointing in like 2 separate directions. But that is who Nathan supposedly is, the Cheshire Cat who grins a lot and smiles, and of course that's Nathan, right? That's how Nathan is. Lucas, our white rabbit, is there to help Elizabeth open her heart again. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that in season 8, episode 12, that ended up being Nathan, right? That is who ended up being the reason. He is the one who helped her see she can move on from Jack. So it's very interesting to me that these poor people thought it was going to be the opposite. I could go on and on. Like, this was a very long blog written in with very good grammar, punctuation, and the comprehension was so good. It was just very, very well written. But you're like, are you people really saying this? Like, did you really believe this? Like, you actually thought this show, when called to heart, a family show, would dig so far? Like, they can't come up with their own storylines, first of all. And now the writers, this actually makes me laugh. I'm sorry if it's mean. I don't care. The writers got wind of this because they were actually like tagging Brian Bird and John Tinker and stuff. One of them sent this edit of Lucas next to a bunny looking at the pocket watch. So obviously the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, and called him the Hurrier because apparently they felt like Lucas was hurrying Elizabeth all the time. Anyway, so they knew, the writers were very well aware of Teen Nathan feeling this way. Now, they never, ever, and John Tinker actually responded to one of them and was like, no, we don't go into works of fiction to come up with our stories. We're not inspired this way. He actually told a fan that brought up Alice in Wonderland, one of the Team Nathan fans. So he made it clear, but of course they're not going to let it go. So this is where it gets fun. The writers took their obsession with Alice in Wonderland and put it into season 8 twice.
Yeah,
they put it into season 8 twice. Yep. Season 8, episode 3, that stack of books Lucas is carrying when he walks out of the saloon and sees Rosemary and Elizabeth. The book at the very top is Alice in Wonderland. And then in the next episode, when Elizabeth walks into the library and Lucas looks all disheveled and gorgeous, when she's picking up the book at the top of the stack that she's holding is Alice in Wonderland. And I did see some of the comments where people got all excited, like, "Oh, Alice in Wonderland! Look, it means something. Totally means something." And the writers completely had fun with this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say one more thing, Jillian, and then I want you to talk. But let's not forget that same episode 4, there's talk of mushrooms again. And Team Nathan fans were like, see, look at how the mushrooms came. Look, they're talking about, the psychedelic mushrooms from Alice in Wonderland. And they look at the mushrooms. It's like Elizabeth losing her mind and all this stuff. No, the mushrooms are a cute inside joke between Elizabeth and Lucas. And this comes up in their scene right before they want to start dating. It has nothing to do with the stupid mushrooms from Alice in Wonderland. It has no negative connotation like Team Nathan seems to think it does. It's a cute inside joke. Why do these people make everything so complicated? And then they say they were misled and all this garbage. I'm like, okay, you want to point the finger at somebody else for feeling misled? It's those bloggers. It's whoever is feeding you all this stuff from their blog, who's overanalyzing something that just does not exist. And you believe them. That's like cult-like behavior. You don't want to blame the writers for that. That's you creating stuff yourself. That's your own fiction. And there was a lot more to it, but I won't get into it. There was just, I read it and I was just shocked. I forced myself to read it because I feel like our fan base, a lot of people don't know all this stuff, but I feel like they needed to hear it. They just needed to know. And you guys, if you're Team Lucas, we don't want to say that anymore because there's no teams anymore. If you're Lucabeth fans, you are blessed. You picked the right fan base. You picked the right couple. And to those of you who are Team Nathan, please know, I'm not talking about like everybody. I'm talking about like the fanatics who are still angry and upset, who are supposed to leave 6 months ago, but are showing no signs of leaving. And I'm talking about those people who kind of deluded themselves basically into believing things. I'm so happy about those of you who went back and watched and are like, okay, yes, I wanted her with Nathan, but I can see the Lucas angle. Someone left a really sweet comment. I'm going to, on one of our YouTube videos, who used to be a Team Nathan fan. I need to go back and thank that person. I think you already did, Jillian, but I was so touched by that. And I'm so happy. Like, I love that we're bringing this for our fan base, but that like Team Nathan fans are watching the podcast and going, yes, okay, now we get it. Like, that's amazing. So again, if anyone wants to read this, I mean, brave souls out there who want to read it, DM me, I'll send you the link. And then Jillian, my love, please add your thoughts. And Blanca, tell us how you feel.
Oh gosh. I don't even know. I
need water.
The theories that came from this whole thing were just people being like, oh yeah, like they're just trying to convince themselves that the story that is progressing is not actually, like, I don't know. I don't even know, because it's so it's so crazy.
Like the pumpkins.
They're grasping at straws. They're just like trying to be like, yo, yeah, okay, so this is what's gonna happen. And I feel like the writers, like you said, the writers knew about it. I didn't actually know that they knew about it, but I figured they probably had, heard through the grapevine that people were talking about all this stuff. And I feel like the writers kind of put this stuff in there, like the little white rabbits. And
yes.
Alice in Wonderland on the top of the stack of the books and that stuff. Like, I feel like they put that in there on purpose just to be like, come on, you guys, like, just as like a nugget of bleh.
I think they were having fun. Like, I feel kind of bad because they were kind of having fun with it. And I'll be honest, Derek Thompson wrote that episode, and I think Elizabeth Stewart wrote it with him. I would be so offended if something that I put so much thought and so much care and so much emotion into, that episode had so much. I mean, it was a deep episode. We just pointed out why and how. I would be offended. I'm like, that's what you took away. You went to a children's book and you reduced my protagonist to like a little girl who, like a meddlesome little girl, and you made my future leading man into a freaking giant rabbit. Like, what? And you made the other guy that I have to write because he's on the show, you turned him into a cat.
The Cheshire Cat.
Yeah, not just a normal cat, but like a psycho cat. Like, he has mental issues. Cheshire Cat has mental issues. Like, he's psychologically not sound, and these people are like, look, this is our guy.
That is kind of true. That kind of makes sense more than anything else. Remember the accent?
They just missed the point.
Exhibit A, the chopping wood scene.
And then the writers took it and they were like, yes, let's have some fun with this because this is awesome.
Yeah, totally.
And they threw in that Lucas.
Let's put white rabbits in the scene.
And that episode 3 also had a Lucas Fiona scene that really didn't amount to anything, but these people were like campaigning for Lucas Fiona. So it was like, they were even more excited because they were like, oh, look, Alice in Wonderland. And then later they're like, look, they're going to go with Lucona. They're going to go with Lucas Fiona because there was this scene and it meant something. And some people thought Lucas like winked at Fiona when he walked by her. He wasn't winking. Like, I think there was like Chris did like one of his like eyes did kind of, is it depressed?
You a little
more? Who the heck knows? Yeah, I don't know. But I don't know. So look, I'm gonna say something. I will try to be very nice about this when I say this. I will try. But the Hearties, would you want the Hearties, this fan base, do you want them represented by a group of people who misinterpret everything, who get mad at you when they don't understand the story, who are just constantly unhappy about things, who like, okay, I'm just repeating myself here, but who just don't understand the characters, who don't understand the show, don't know how to like put things together? Is that who you want representing your entire franchise, the When Call It the Heart franchise? Or do you want it to be the fan base that actually looked at things, that actually looked at scenes and looked at dialogue and looked at even like the stuff that wasn't like the nonverbal cues? Lucas and Elizabeth had so many of those, and actually put that together and said, okay, this is the romance. Like, we see this story, we've been following it since season 6, and then we saw it progress in season 7, and then it like blossomed in season 8. Wouldn't you want that? Like, wouldn't you want a fan base that understands where you're going, even if you don't know the end game for sure, like that you're comprehending the story? So I don't know, it's kind of scary. You either cater to the Luca Beth fans, or you cater to people who actually think Alice in Wonderland. I
mean, they catered to the story that they were going toward, because that's the story they were telling. But then they like threw in these little things just to be funny, because They have a sense of humor.
If they had paid attention to what was happening on screen, they would never have come up with theories like that. Like you said, Dave, this is a family show about life. This isn't Lost. This isn't science fiction. There is no room for crazy theories here. So when there are
other theories. There are other ones, like law of gravity was one that they came up with, where
the one about the color of the clothes, I think, right? When she wore purple.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently they color coordinated them based on scenes. Then there was the whole one person said they had foreshadowed the apple giving because there were apples in random scenes with Elizabeth and Nathan, that there had been a lot of scenes where it was in the background, so they kind of like knew it was coming, which was like, okay, so he gave her the apple, that didn't really go anywhere. And then there was like the law of gravity thing, where apparently Newton is named after Newton's law, and there's an apple involved. And Julie in season 1 tells Elizabeth that she and Jack have a gravitational pull that somehow ties into Nathan.
And Elizabeth teaches a lesson about gravity in season 1, dropping the shoe in that, like, about gravitational pull. But
I don't know. I just don't. Where did Jillian go? Did she die?
Yeah, I died
from laughter.
I can't do it.
Man,
no, like,
how
seriously though, like, these theories are just pulled out of nowhere.
The rabbit hole.
They refused to pay attention to what was going on and to the script, and that's why they resorted to this crazy.
Yeah, they have no one to blame but themselves. I'm tired of the whole let's fire John Tinker. I'm tired of the whole Departed thing.
Yeah, they wrote a very good show, and the Hearties decided that they didn't like it, and they can choose to leave. I wish they would leave, to be honest. I wish they would just leave and be done with it. And they
might as well.
In it.
The show is going over their heads anyway. Like, they're not able to understand it. So why watch something that you don't understand? Right. I don't know. I just, are people still like with us? I don't know.
I don't know. We're done, right? I mean, we don't have to talk about the next episode.
No, I don't think so. I think we kind of did that before.
Even though she's like, she's journaling about him, and then she bakes some cookies, but it's fine. So yes, that is a lot to take in. If you want to know more about the Alice in Wonderland theory, Div will send you a message. If you message Div, she will send you the full theory of Alice in Wonderland. I know it's a lot to handle, but you can read it yourself.
With caution.
Yes, receive it with caution. And then and she'll send it to you. We're all in the same boat. We're all very like what about this theory? But it's a thing that's been put out there. So if you want to know more about it, DM Div and she will send it to you. Okay. So, but that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We so appreciate you guys so much. If you're not already following us on social media, make sure you're following us on all the things. We are at the Lucabeth Lounge on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, and we are at Lucabeth Lounge on Twitter. And just so you guys know, we're going to take a little break for the holidays, and we'll see you guys next year We're really excited to be back with new content, and thank you for continuing to support us. And we love you. Goodbye.
We do. Bye, guys.
Thank you. See you.